We're back.
We are.
All right, Miss Carol. I was going to say Miss Peggy, but Miss Carol.
Yes, so we're still on episode 72.
72.
And this portion is the book, and that's mine.
Your turn.
My
What
turn.
you got?
So it's a little different from what we normally share, whatever. I often do fiction, whatever.
It's
Full
good
disclosure,
to mix it up.
yeah, full disclosure, and I'm sure he'll be happy that I'm talking about it. It comes out April 24th. I should have it right in the top of April 30th. This gets published legitimately. You know, that's when you can get it. It's The Ups and Downs of Life in the Law, and it's edited by Roger M. Witten.
And who's the author?
He's the editor.
Oh, he's the editor. Okay.
It's 20 stories, different law stories. That some of them are funny, some of them are like, wow. So they're written about different subjects, about money and politics, Citizens United. People don't have to be interested in the law to find this book interesting. As Roger Witten writes in the introduction, these stories reveal the ups and downs of a life in the law by telling stories that are dramatic, moving, and or amusing. Some are tongue-in-cheek, others are serious but never dull. And they're not long, so it's like, you know, like they're little essays and they're different sections. So I decided to pick out just some examples from this book. So there's one, and the title of this essay
I like the paper in this book. It feels very well put together.
Let me tell you, this is my own publisher that's publishing my novel.
He did a nice job.
Yeah, he does a great job. You know, he does a really nice job with the books. So the title of this essay is Dealing with the Iranian Hostage Crisis by Richard Davis. And at just 31 years old, Richard Davis was Assistant Secretary supervising the Customs Service, the Secret Service, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the implementation of the Bank Secrecy Act, and the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center.
Wow.
At 31 years old.
He's an underachiever.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So, but he writes about the challenges he would face with those responsibilities, but how nothing prepared him for what was to come on November 1979. And I don't know if you remember what happened then, but that was dealing with the Iranian hostage crisis.
Oh, yeah, we all had yellow ribbons tied around our trees.
Yes.
And yeah.
Tied
And she was like, not
Well,
born.
she was not born, really.
No, I was born then.
Okay. So readers will be taken behind the scenes during the 444 days of the negotiations, where the lives of the hostages meant many sleepless nights for him, because he, you know, and I was thinking about how much weight that puts on people,
It's a lot of stress.
very much so. And so it was his story, and I think this particular essay was about 10 pages long, but just these lives are, you know, the families that are here, you know, it's just the pressure. I found that very interesting. So it was very eye-opening for me, since we really don't know sometimes behind the government what the pressures that, you know, people that are working for us, what they have. As you probably know, Miss lawyer.
Who's Miss Laura?
Miss Laura, no, Laura.
Very high alcohol content in this wine.
Oh, I'm so tired today. So anyway, so that's just one of the stories. And another one, it was on page 173. Let me find that. It's called The Case of a Lifetime. So, ooh, the light.
That's because it's too dark in here. It'll go out.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So creating families can be complicated, which has become all the more complicated recently in Alabama's Supreme Court frozen embryos ruling. However, Harriet Newman Cohen, who is a lawyer, shares how it can be challenging to expand the definition of family when a court case is involved in her essay, The Case of a Lifetime. Being a parent is a legal status subject to interpretation by each state's laws. Writes Cohen, she wrote this. So readers may be surprised by how an artichoke jar, a turkey baster, and a broken agreement became the case of a lifetime for the successful attorney who was selected for the Crane's list of New York's notable women in law in 2023. And she writes about the story, and it's about two women, they're gay, and they wanted a child, and they're both lawyers as well, and so they needed a lawyer because they were thrown a curveball, and it was just very interesting. The case, the law case, was very interesting. And one last one, on page 102. It is called "You Win Some and ... So James L. Quarles' essay, "You Win Some and ... shares advice he'd gotten when he was just starting out and driving a beat-up VW. Jimmy, you know it is important for a lawyer to look prosperous, so clients will be comfortable that you know what you're doing. Another time he was reminded of the first rule of being a trial lawyer. Never miss a chance of going to the bathroom." So Jim went on to a successful law career, including serving as senior counselor to special counsel Robert Mueller. And it's safe to say the VW soon became history, but you'll have to read his essay to discover just who imparted those nuggets of wisdom to him.
Interesting.
So these are just a collection of stories of just, and every week David, he's the publisher, I write up a little anecdote based on one of these and I post them and he shares it on LinkedIn. And some of they're just so interesting, and so for a fun read, an interesting read, and gets you sort of in the background of what goes on in law offices. This
Be a good
is
book too for recent law school grads or those
Yes,
going
yeah.
to law school.
Or for somebody like me, like I don't really like to read nonfiction, but when it's broken down
Right.
like that,
It's a nice.
like it's
I have copies if you need, if you want as well.
Oh yeah, no, very nice.
So,
It's a nice. I like the ideas of that. So.
and that's coming out April.
April 30th.
April
Very
30th.
good.
Yes. So he's and what's fun is, like I said, I'm doing publicity and marketing for him, so I'm finding out where some of the contributors live so that I can see if I can get them events in those
Oh,
stores
okay. That's
a
in
great
those,
idea.
in those
Yeah.
areas. And,
Yeah.
it's a little challenging, but
Yeah.
it's definitely, it's a beautiful book. It's done very well.
Now, were the stories that are in this book, were they published elsewhere, or were they just?
I
put
don't
into
think
this
so. I
book?
think that's a good question. There might have been some that were published elsewhere. There might have been
Okay.
some, but for
But
the
it's
most
nice to be
part,
putting them in it's in a collection.
Yeah.
yes, the compilation. So
Very good.
so that's my review.
Good, very good.
So next we're going to be doing the topic, which is who's this?
It's Nellie Bly.
Ooh, I can't wait. So
Yeah,
join us
right.
for part number 3.
See you soon.